A familiar face is back in a Red Sox uniform, but this time he's calling the shots. Find out what new manager Alex Cora has in store for Boston's most historic team.
Pace of play continues to be a struggle for Major League Baseball. Hear what players around the league think of new rules and strategies that will change how pitchers approach the game.
There are new stars around the league, and they're no longer grizzled veterans. We have the latest on baseball's youth renaissance.
All that and more as we take you inside the Grapefruit League.
Hello and welcome to this WEBN special presentation of Inside the Grapefruit League 2018. I'm Sean Stackhouse.
And I'm Rob Way. We are at the Red Sox spring training facility in Fort Myers, Florida. We'll show you how Major League Baseball is preparing for the upcoming season.
The Red Sox biggest preparation came with a new manager at the helm. John Farrell is out and Alex Cora is in.
I spoke with players to see what they think about Cora taking over and what he can bring to the team.
I think he's going to be very special for this organization.
The new boss is not the same as the old boss. And Red Sox players are more than excited to have Alex Cora as their manager.
He understands baseball and he understands the player side really well. He's trying to get everybody in, trying to get everybody their rest, not try to overdo it.
That's because Cora knows what it's like to play in the big leagues.
Went through a lot of spring trainings, and I know what it feels. There's going to be good days and bad days. Days are going to be sore. Days going to feel, close to 100%. So I have a pretty good idea about it. So you got to manage that and use it to your advantage. So that's what I take from playing 13 years in the big leagues.
During that time, Cora played for 6 major league teams, including the Boston Red Sox. He had a .243 batting average with 35 home runs. He joked that he's hoping to be a better manager than he was player.
I wasn't a great player, so I can tell him not to do the things I was doing so they can perform. So now you just communicate with them. Defensively, I think I can help them in a few things. That was my strong tool, like they said, as a player.
It's a tool he brought to the world champion Houston Astros last season. He was their bench coach and learned one valuable lesson.
That winning is cool, and they want to win, so I avoid talking to them about the other team. We turn the page. They turned the page from what happened last year, their season last year, and I did the same with what happened with me personally last year, and now we're all together.
For some of his players, the reunion was more than a decade in the making.
Well, I know Alex since I was 7 years old, 8 years old, playing in Puerto Rico, watching him play a little bit, and now playing for him and in the same team is awesome. Having a guy that is from your city, from Puerto Rico, and it's fun. It's going to be fun.
He talked to the players. He talked to everybody. He's been great. He's been an inspiration for for all the players and for Latin players, and just ready for the opportunity.
Alex Cora is not the only new manager in the American League East. The New York Yankees also added a former player to their coaching staff.
Aaron Boone has taken the reins of the Bronx Bombers, and Yankees fans hope that he can do as much damage to the Red Sox this season as he did back in 2003.
Our reporter Brian Danoff tells us what the Yankees see in the former infielder turned manager.
The New York Yankees sent shockwaves throughout Major League Baseball when they parted ways with manager Joe Girardi after falling just one win short of the World Series. Even more surprising was who they chose to replace him, former Yankee and ESPN broadcaster Aaron Boone.
I think it's helped. I feel like I'm familiar perhaps with more players than I otherwise would be, because every team you cover, you go through the roster, you develop an opinion or your own kind of scouting report on people, so I think it's helpful.
Boone was a third-generation major leaguer, as his father and grandfather are both former big leaguers. However, he didn't have any coaching experience when the Yankees hired him in November. Still, expectations are sky high. After acquiring NL MVP Giancarlo Stanton to pair with sluggers Aaron Judge and Gary Sanchez, the pressure is on for Boone to deliver.
I don't know how I necessarily handle it. I mean, I'm trying to get our guys ready. I'm trying to get our coaching staff, our team, ready to compete for a championship. And that's a daily grind. It's a daily process. It's a lot that goes into each and every day, and the job consumes you from that standpoint.
Early on in spring training, Boone has been hard at work fostering positive relationships with his players. Just ask top prospect Billy McKinney, who says Boone is striking the perfect balance between being a friend and a teacher.
Oh, he's been great, very light, he's a lot of fun to be around, a great person to have a conversation with. You have a question, he's there for answers, so, and he knows the game, great, so it's a lot of fun, and getting to know him better, it's been nice.
The Aaron Boone era officially begins for the New York Yankees on opening day, March 29th, when the team travels to Toronto to take on the Blue Jays. For WEBN Sports, I'm Brian Danoff.
The Yankees may be looking forward to power hitting, but there's a question how they will handle batters because of a new rule change.
Clubs are now allowed only 6 mound visits per game, with the hopes of speeding up the pace of play. I spoke with teams around the league to find out what they'll do to change their strategy.
The pitching coach doesn't make a mound visit to come tell you what color the sky is. He's coming to talk to you about what you're doing or doing wrong in an effort to help you improve your pitching.
But Major League Baseball's decision makers think differently. A new rule change allows only 6 mound visits per game. The goal is to help speed up pace of play. Players are now looking to adapt.
Talking with the catchers that could be in the game and just going over my signs before then, just to kind of cut down on them having to come out.
Meet before the game and have multiple signs ready so you can just shout out, hey, we're going to switch to the second set here.
Also learning nonverbals from being back there, so I don't have to go out there. I could just show them the sign and be like, hey, this means calm down a little bit or whatever. And it all kind of helps out.
While some players struggle to adapt to the new rule, others are in favor, many taking it in stride.
Not concerned about. I just think it's something that once we do it and it becomes part of our new norm, we'll be fine with it. I mean, it's quite honestly, 6 mound visits are a lot.
It's one of those things that you're just going to have to go out there and play regardless of, what the rules might be.
But those around the league agree something must change to keep baseball as America's pastime.
Let's face it, there are some games that no matter what you do, they're just not going to be very exciting. And some games can last 3.5 hours of very exciting games. I just wish we could get them all to be exciting. I don't know that we can, but we're trying to do things.
Mound visits aren't the only changes pitchers could be experiencing this upcoming season.
That's because more teams are leaning towards using a 6-man starting rotation. Our reporter James Kwan explored the new strategy.
Baseball is a game of tradition, but a new trend is shaking things up in the league. It's the 6-man starting rotation. Though gaining popularity, breaking away from using 5 starters is hard for some to wrap their minds around.
I don't know, because everybody has pride in what they're doing. Everybody's got a little bit of an ego, and you want to think that hopefully the team wants you out there as much as possible. So if they don't, but if that makes your pitching staff better, I'm sure there's two sides of the coin.
Longtime observers of the game remain skeptical. Red Sox radio broadcaster Tim Neverett thinks that teams may experiment with it in the early going, but not for the long haul.
I think some of it with the Rays might be analytic driven. I'm not really sure how that's going to work out, and I'm not sure how long they're going to do that. Oftentimes teams will go with a certain rotation at the start of the season because you'll have a day off before opening day, a day off after opening day, you might have another day. It's a little bit disjointed in the first week or so of the season.
Though fans of analytics and baseball bloggers alike rave about what they think a new rotation can do, opinions among the players remain mixed.
At the end of the day, you're still facing another guy across from you on the mound. It's for hitters, it's not the biggest thing in the world. It's you still got to go out there and do your thing against them. But we'll see how the season goes and go from there.
It's good for everybody. So get you the starting pitcher more healthy and more relaxed. So we got more control and everything.
With special pitching rotations becoming a rising trend in the league, don't be surprised when bullpens like the one behind me look a little different going forward. For WEBN Sports, I'm James Kwan.
Pitching rotations, batting orders, and even contract deals are being driven more and more by analytics.
Our reporter Brian Danoff tells us why crunching the numbers is no longer just for accountants and statisticians.
There's more to statistics than the back of a baseball card. Over the last few decades, analytics and sabermetrics have been boiling baseball down to an exact science. They provide a deeper look at the usual statistical categories and created some new ones as well. They offer teams far more ways to evaluate and are quickly becoming the backbone of front offices throughout Major League Baseball.
Organizationally, we're very strong in it right now. I mean, it's Alex and his group came in and introduced us all to that, and we've already employed it in our games, and we're seeing that it works.
And it works not only for front office types, but players as well.
Knowing that, maybe you need to, look for something in a certain count or lay off certain pitches or maybe improve on an area, whether it's, patience in the plate, being more aggressive, or maybe moving a little bit more on defense. So I think, any kind of edge a player can find, I think is beneficial in the long run.
Analytics and sabermetrics can be eye-opening for some players, as they can help identify how often they swing and miss at a certain pitch, or how efficient they are at tracking down a ball in the outfield. Some players, however, don't want to fully rely on the numbers, as they still see the value in the game's human element.
I look at it as information, and information's a good thing. So yeah, definitely, I'll definitely use things that make sense. But on the other hand, it's try not to get too absorbed by all that, because there is a lot of information out there. So I think a little bit is good, and you try to use it as best you can.
Information is power. I think that's a quote maybe, but it's something you have to balance, especially as a catcher. You've got to be able to balance that and use your gut, but also use the numbers.
In fact, some of baseball's youngest, most tech-savvy stars, like New York Yankees shortstop Didi Gregorius, almost never use analytics.
No, I do not. No, I do not. If they bring it in, they got to bring it in for that game, and then I'll look at it. But normally, I don't really. I just go based on all the guys that are feeling it, how you see they're swinging, and that's how I'll try to go.
And while Gregorius is not alone, baseball has always been a numbers game, and these numbers are evolving and shaping the future of the sport. For WEBN Sports, I'm Brian Danoff.
When we return, we'll explain how the Red Sox-Yankees rivalry is evolving with two new managers at the helm.
But both of those teams will be chasing the reigning World Series champion, Houston Astros. Find out how they look to avoid a championship hangover when we return.
Welcome back. The most renowned rivalry in baseball belongs to the New York Yankees and Boston Red Sox.
I explored the changing landscape of the American League East and where the two clubs' feud looks to be heading.
When the two teams are excellent, it's always simmering, It's always capable of going to whatever, DEFCON 3 or whatever you want to call it, in a hurry.
And this year, it looks like it might. Both the Red Sox and the Yankees have two former players in charge.
Look, I think everyone that plays for the Yankees, that plays for the Red Sox, understands that, them for us, us for them are one of the biggest obstacles to getting to where we want to go.
The offseason was a big one for both teams. Everybody was expecting both teams to improve. I feel both of us improved, so we'll see what happens throughout the season.
The teams are scheduled to play each other 19 times. For one Red Sox player, the rivalry looks to be back and better than ever.
It means a lot, It's still a game, the same way any other game is. But they got a great team now. I think we have a great team. I think it's going to be fun, and it's like a renewed rivalry now.
But not every player feels that way.
I don't really get caught up into the whole rivalry thing. I just want to win ball games.
As if the rivalry with the Yankees isn't enough, the Red Sox are also feuding with the Baltimore Orioles, which produced some memorable bad blood 1 year ago.
Anybody that was watching the games last year saw some fireworks, a couple beanball wars there. I think there's competition in the AL East, period. It's the toughest division. You play teams a lot. We've been beating up on them. They've been beating up on us. I think it's a healthy rivalry.
Yeah, we're all big competitors, but also have a lot of respect for each other too. These are some of the greatest players in the world that we play against, and it's great to play against great teams.
But there's a team that has more than just one enemy. It's the Houston Astros. The World Series champions have the rest of the league hot on their tail.
Our reporter James Kwan traveled to West Palm Beach to find out how the Astros are preparing for the season ahead.
From worst to first. It's the 6-year path that the Houston Astros followed. Dead last with 106 losses in 2011, the Astros turned it around to become World Series champions in 2017, an accomplishment manager A.J. Hinch wants to make a habit.
To put together
championship caliber teams for a number of years in a row is certainly the goal, and to be a contender every year is certainly a goal. So if you're able to win, and you look at the Spurs, and you look at the Patriots, and you look at the Yankees in the late 1990s, and the teams that have been able to do it for not just 1 or 2 years, but 5 to 10 years, I think you have to take away something from how they operate or how they sustain their culture of success.
As far as adjustments go, players on the team seem to think keeping it simple will yield the best results.
I mean, I think if guys just do what they've been doing, it's not, I think guys have to individually maintain where they are and maybe get a little better. But I mean, for some guys in this group, you just hope that they play somewhere close to where they were last year, because it was unbelievable.
I think it's one of those things, just being the same type of team that we were last year, taking into account of, playing loose, having fun, and making sure that we not take the game and make it a bigger issue than what it is.
As the Astros look to make it 2 in a row this season, former manager and Houston legend Phil Garner is excited about the potential playoff races they could come across.
It's always exciting when it gets down to the last month of the season and you have 4 or 5 teams that have legitimate shots of getting in. So and I like that, the way the new system works. More teams are involved. The longer do you get down the last month of the season, and you're so far out that you can't catch up with a 2-team race. So this is kind of fun, having the wild cards and the ability to stay in the race usually to the very end.
With the season starting up earlier than ever on March 29th, the Astros won't have to wait till long to begin their journey toward a championship repeat. For WEBN Sports, I'm James Kwan.
The Astros may be looking to notch back-to-back World Series titles, but 5 years ago, the Astros had the fewest wins in the entire league.
Now many teams find themselves in the same place as the Astros back in 2013, trying to make it to the top. Our reporter Brian Danoff looked into how struggling teams stay focused during the rebuilding process.
Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither are championship-winning baseball teams. In fact, when teams finally make it to the postseason, it usually follows a long, painful rebuilding process. It typically starts with teams shedding payroll by trading their expensive veterans. In return, they acquire cheap, young talent, stockpile top draft picks, and slowly start to win again. This is exactly how the Cubs, Astros, and Yankees became what they are today. And while rebuilding has received heightened criticism over the last few years, players understand it's a tried and true method.
It's a business, and sometimes if you're not going to maybe think you're going to be competitive, sometimes you almost have to start over, just the way the money goes.
While the end result can be as successful and seemingly sustainable as the Astros are, the middle of a rebuild is often difficult for players and fans alike. The Atlanta Braves and Miami Marlins are examples of teams that traded away their veteran all-stars and are expected to be in a race to the bottom. The 2018 season will be all about giving their younger players the chance to learn and grow.
Well, I think the main thing is that we handle the fundamentals of the game out there. We handle the execution part of it, and we just go out there and play and believe in each other.
You can't take for granted that these guys know exactly what you're talking about. You have to, pay attention to detail a little more. We're concentrating on fundamentals, and they're young major leaguers, so they're not there yet. We're a work in progress.
Even though there are growing pains to be had and some bad baseball to be played, Marlins manager Don Mattingly already sees progress being made this spring.
It's been good. It's been encouraging for us really as an organization. With Derek and really the plan, new ownership has talked about building this thing from the ground up, being consistent, basically doing things the right way and really building our system and knowing that we're going to be able to sustain that as we grow these kids up and get them ready to go.
Rebuilding isn't always pretty, but recent history tells us it's an effective strategy to getting back to October. For WEBN Sports, I'm Brian Danoff.
Coming up on this WEBN special presentation of Inside the Grapefruit League 2018, how the new faces of baseball are younger than we've ever seen, and veterans are stepping up to show them the ropes.
Every March, teams spend a month in Florida, but not every second is spent on the diamond. When we return, find out what big leaguers do during their off time in the Sunshine State.
Welcome back. Baseball's newest stars are showing that age is just a number, and experience can be overshadowed by tremendous talent.
Some of baseball's biggest stars have only been in the big leagues for a few seasons. I looked into how such young players have been able to have such a large impact.
It's exciting to see. They're changing the game. It's faster, it's stronger, but hopefully there's space for us old guys in with them too.
20 is the new 30. The faces of baseball are barely old enough to rent a car, but they're changing the game.
It's a great thing, it's a fun time of baseball. A lot of young guys coming through just trying to prove themselves and do their thing out there. It's a great new age of baseball.
You find a lot of good young guys, good young players that, are learning fast and are coming up in the rankings pretty quickly, So, it's good to see that, and it's good to see a lot of young guys that are coming up and, ready to make the big league stage.
But these kids aren't just good.
They're studs, so it's good to see them grow and become better players.
Players like Aaron Judge, Manny Machado, and Mookie Betts have become household names in the American League East. One thing they have in common, 1992 birthdays. But as Betts says, they still need to stay humble.
It's pretty special, definitely a blessing from the man upstairs. But I know that with that comes, you got to work. You have to work to get here, and then obviously work to stay a name.
And to reach the level they're playing at takes a lifetime of hard work.
These guys they're so well trained at a young age. They come up, they're almost ready for the highest level as soon as they're out of high school. So,
well, I think they're talented, for one, and they're able to get into an environment where there's some good coaching, and so we're speeding them up a little bit, and that's a good formula also. So they're talented.
Young players have certainly caught the attention of fans and coaches alike.
But if not for league veterans, reaching their potential would be an even greater challenge.
I talked to players to find out how important it is to give back to the younger generation.
Just remember being there in their shoes. It seems like yesterday, it was like 10 years ago, so just trying to make myself available any kind of way I can.
Sam Freeman is not alone. With young players making up so much of the league, many veteran MLB players are trying to lead by example.
It's just trying to set a good example, how to go about playing this game every day and coming out with a good attitude and working hard and trying to get better each day.
That effort isn't lost on the younger players.
I just try to learn from everybody, sit back, just watch how they go about their business and do everything the right way. So, this is an incredible clubhouse, and they're easy to talk to, which is really nice.
You lean on their knowledge, right? They got an abundance of knowledge.
And many of the older players are ready to share what they've learned.
A few of us have been around for a couple of years now and get a chance to kind of see how the clubhouse works and kind of take these younger guys when they come in and just show them the ropes when they get in here.
Some of the league's managers also see the importance of having veteran players on the field and in the dugout.
If they just conduct themselves and do what they do, the young players are remiss if they don't watch how these guys go about it, because they're true pros. They know how to do it.
It's a natural evolution in a clubhouse when the young players become a little bit more established and they become your part of your culture and part of your veteran culture.
Celebrations. It's one aspect of the game veterans and prospects don't usually address.
In fact, you rarely even see a celebration during a 9-inning game of baseball.
Our reporter James Kwan set out to ask players what flair they would show if home run celebrations had as much style as touchdowns do in the NFL.
After a home run, a baseball player has every reason to celebrate. Despite this, you rarely see anyone dance or taunt after they go yard, at least in Major League Baseball. The sport has a strong tradition of absolute sportsmanship, which is still very much respected to this day.
I don't think baseball will ever be that way. I think it's a very old school game. I don't think it'll ever be that way, but it comes over showing up pitchers. People showing up one another. I don't think it's ever going to be like that, but I kind of like the old school way of it.
I think you hit a home run, you get around the bases, and then you can do what you want in the dugout. So that's my thoughts on that.
These unwritten rules in baseball are a far contrast from the NFL, where the touchdown celebrations are not only allowed, they're pretty much encouraged. So in a league where emphatic spikes and rehearsed dances have never been seen, how would the players celebrate if they had the choice?
Jeez, you got to throw it back to the Prince Fielder one where he stepped on home plate and everybody kind of clapped. I think that was pretty funny, to be honest. That actually happened, but I think that would be a funny one to see.
I don't know. If I hit a home run, I don't hit too many, but when I hit it, I would love to. I'm a good dancer. I like to do like Victor Cruz, a little salsa on the home plate.
I mean, we'll probably stick to the bat flips. Bat flips are a big thing, and you kind of let the pitcher know you got them.
Though the idea is certainly fun to think about, there doesn't seem to be any kind of indication that these celebrations will be leaving the NFL. From WEBN Sports, I'm James Kwan.
One thing that would surely make big leaguers celebrate is a chance to kick up their feet, relax, and take a break from the ball field.
I wondered what players and coaches like to do for fun during their off time in the Sunshine State. Whether it's hitting the links or a day at the beach, baseball players love their time off in Florida.
Anytime you can find an off day, try to find a beach or a lake somewhere because there's a ton of sunshine and there's always something to do.
One thing I love about Florida is, there's water, and maybe get out there and do a little fishing and a little swimming and stuff like that.
But with over a month of nonstop action, some players use their time to catch up on what they need most.
Sleep, pretty much. They're long days, and so whenever I get home, it's fun just to put your feet up and relax, and then a lot of going to bed early.
I like going to the beach. We don't really have too much time to do that, though. I mean, we're pretty busy, but yeah, going to the beach is really relaxing, really nice, and taking a nap every day is also pretty nice, too.
And the reason players need those naps?
Well, my favorite thing to do in Florida right here is come to spring training, work these kids as hard as I possibly can, go home and eat, get some sleep, and get up in the morning and repeat it.
But even while they're exhausted, big leaguers still make time for family.
Getting a chance to go home and being with my family and exploring Orlando, it's been cool. Disney World, you can't beat it. Got a 1.5-year-old daughter, she loves it.
I have 2 kids, and being a pro dad is probably number one. Try and take them outside, play little wiffle ball games, help mom with cleaning up the house, stuff like that. Turn into a professional dad.
We hope you enjoyed this WEBN special presentation of Inside the Grapefruit League 2018. We dug into the changing landscape of Major League Baseball, including the use of analytics, rising stars, and new skippers. I'm Sean Stackhouse.
And I'm Rob Way. Thank you for watching. We now leave you with the names of everyone who made this program possible, and we will continue our sports coverage at WEBN.TV.
Enjoy this upcoming baseball season, and we'll see you back here next year.